Malta is a small archipelago in the centre of the Mediterranean Sea, located between Sicily and North Africa. The largest island, Malta, is only 122 square miles in area. However, for such a small island, it has a remarkably high Human Development Index at 0.856. Furthermore, the GDP per capita on the island is $40,000 when adjusted for purchasing power parity. This evidence would suggest that development and urban sprawl are both prevalent on the island, but to what extent is this actually true? What correlation between sprawl and development exists, and what issues arise from this? Urban development is the process by which urban areas grow and become more advanced. Development can be split between social, economic and environmental, and the overlap between these three aspects can cause conflict for space between different stakeholders in a particular area. Urban sprawl is essentially another word for urbanisation. It refers to the migration of a population from populated towns and cities to low-density residential development over more and more rural land. The end result is an uncontrollable spreading of a city and its suburbs over more and more rural land due to lack of planning and forward thinking. There are many theories about urban development and how prior planning and forethought affect the distribution of residential, commercial and industrial buildings. These theories can be seen throughout Malta. Valletta shows the implementation of the grid model of development, also known as the Hippodamian plan. This is where there is a central hub called an agora, made up of marketplaces, theatres and churches, with residential areas along the outside. The reason this setup is there is because of the defensive layout and construction of Valletta that was insisted upon by Jean de Valette when it was built. Selima and St Julian's exhibit similar characteristics in terms of how organised the architectural layout of the town is over space. This is an indicator of the irregular planning model, where lack of planning has resulted in blocks of buildings with no fixed order, which has left the city with multiple unrelated structures and no central point for the buildings to be built around.
The view from the old capital of Medina clearly shows how urban areas have sprawled over the land over time. This process started when settlements moved from the great vantage points of the hills to the coast in 1565 to Valletta, where the priorities changed from defending the people in Medina to protecting the island as a whole. Over the past 400 years, the landscape has changed dramatically, as it looks like a wave of development has swept over the land and using up more space inland every year. Not only has development come further and further inland, the amount of high-rise buildings is increasing, as was observed at St Julian's, where every bit of space is maximised, with very little green space in the middle of the town.
So this is Bagiba. This is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the northeast of Malta. Just like Valletta is built on a headland, unlike Valletta, it's not restricted through legislation and it's not protected as a World Heritage Site status. So this means that all the buildings here can be as high as they want, and as you can see there's lots of high-rise buildings. The main difference between sprawl and development is one is uncontrollable and the other one is controllable. So like in Valletta, there's a grid system which is controlled and planned and thought out, whereas here, buildings can be put up anywhere and anyone can buy any land, so every inch of space is used up here. And the sprawl doesn't just go up, it goes all the way out to the hills and land becomes much cheaper the further you go out. And because of increase in affluence and high mobility, because everyone has cars, the sprawl just keeps going and going.
The general theory that defines urban sprawl outlines three key influences: increase in affluence in an area, increase in personal mobility as many people have their own cars, and changing lifestyles. These three factors are all clear in Malta, especially in Bagiba. Because of the influx of tourism to the north of Malta, it now increases the amount of development, yet some areas of the town are more run down. On the other hand, there are many development projects underway, such as the recently built hotel on the Bagiba Point. The style of building in the centre of town is similar to St Julian's, with many high-rises, but further out of town where sprawl is happening more, there are more small-storey buildings because these are the quickest and cheapest buildings to erect.
The area of Materschlop was a quaint fishing village, but has recently undergone rapid development, which in turn causes different conflicts between different groups of society. This is one of the only parts of the island where many different types of development are occurring in the same area. Compared to places such as St Julian, where conflict over space is only to do with construction for services and accommodation, The harbour at Massachusetts contains large and small-scale organisations, both competing for the same space and resources, such as international ports against local fish farms. The port is a free port and has government backing and provides local jobs but tarnishes the environment. Therefore, this is a complicated relationship with no clear standpoint for the locals. Within the same area, a new power station is being built next to the current one, which is another potential flashpoint. But again, this is difficult to quantify as it will give both benefits and complications to the local people. This rapid development will encourage urban sprawl to happen, and this can already be seen on the edge of town. The urban sprawl has the same characteristics as Bourguiba, with the small storey buildings being built first, as this is the first stage of sprawl and it's the most cost-effective type of construction.
This GIS map of Valletta shows the different land uses across the city. Blue areas show high-quality residential developments, whereas green areas show low-quality residential areas. You can clearly see that the modern residential developments have only occurred on the north side of the peninsula, with the original undeveloped lower-quality areas to the south. This could be due to the north side having a more desirable view of the Grand Harbour, and it is nearer to parks in a less busy and noisy area of the city. The central market zone with important religious and government buildings can also be seen, as indicated by the red section in the centre. By mapping the land use in this way, it is clear the city follows the description of the grid model system.
The environmental quality of different areas in Valletta was also assessed using a grading system which takes into account aspects such as noise, air pollution and derelict land. By comparing the two maps, it is clear that there is a correlation between the quality and development of an area and the environmental quality. The areas which have higher development also include tourist hotspots such as Republic Street. These areas are maintained and renovated regularly to keep up the beautiful standards of the city, which in turn will keep bringing tourists back to the aesthetically pleasing areas.
Low quality residential areas also had the lower scores for environmental quality compared to the more expensive and high quality accommodation in the south. These low quality areas are not of high priority for the government to renovate or redevelop, as there are fewer services and accommodation for tourists to enjoy. This shows there is a direct link between human development and environmental quality.
The population of Malta has been steadily increasing since the 1970s, from around 300,000 people to over 431,000 in 2015. Malta's fast rate of urbanisation has led to a lot of development, meaning areas like this were all open fields up until the late 1960s. With limited space for development on the island, the Maltese Planning Authority has regulations and procedures which new developments must pass before being approved. Residents here in the town of Sliema voiced their concerns about high-density developments, claiming there is an absence of efficient planning and infrastructure management. However, there are also those who believe that high-density urban development is a way of avoiding eating into the limited remaining rural, undeveloped areas of the island. Paceville is an area 30 minutes walk from Sliema. This area is heavily developed with nightclubs and bars and is a nightlife hub for the island. However, in the last couple of years there have been major plans to renovate the area, improving quality of transport infrastructure and making the area a 5-star hotel destination. The proposed development could potentially generate 9,000 jobs and increase the area's floor space from 785,000 square metres to over 1.7 million square metres. The area currently lacks proper planning and new developments need to comply with Malta's planning regulations, not only making sure they are legally built, but ensuring the area looks uniform and smart. Development in some areas such as Valletta is limited and restricted. Many of the buildings are still as they were when they were built in the late 1560s by the Knights of St John. Development here is restricted by the large city walls and the ocean which borders the peninsula. The shopfronts and homes remain very traditional, giving the city a uniform feel. The main buildings here are only 3 or 4 stories tall, built using only local stone with very limited store signage. This is a vastly different kind of development to areas like Salima, which have had constant changes since first built. Salima first started out as a small fishing village, but now the buildings here can reach massive heights and are built using a variety of materials. Valletta, however, is restricted by building height limitations and space issues due to its position on the island. For these reasons, new developments are not as common.